Hey, so just a quick disclaimer about this week's episode. I want to just put this out there that this episode was actually recorded a year ago, around April 5th, 2025. So the timelines are not accurate anymore. Your girl just didn't edit it in time. And actually, there was a few reasons why I didn't put up the episode. Not going to lie to you all, very honestly. I didn't think it was going to be a good enough episode because me and Dipesh drank a whole bottle of wine before deciding to record this episode. So you may be able to tell that it's not as polished and streamlined as my other episodes are, because this was a first time doing an episode after drinking some wine. So let's see if you can tell. You will definitely be able to tell because now I've just told you. But anyway, and please remember that this is my best friend. So the way I speak with him, the candor, the banter, the inappropriate, see, I still can't say this word, the innuendos and the inappropriateness of this episode is just how I am with my friends. So just fair warning, if you are easily offended by swearing, the human anatomy, sex, jokes, innuendos, it's probably not the episode for you. You may just want to skip over it. But if you don't, and you're interested in what we speak about, it's actually got quite a few good nuggets of wisdom in there about spiritual signs and letting go of friendships that you may have outgrown. So yeah, just sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the 111 Approach podcast, your go-to space for deep thoughts, real talk, and exploration of everything from spirituality to self-development and the mysteries of life with some light-hearted humour along the way. I'm your host, Lakshmi, aka the 1 Minute Healer, and each episode will dive into different topics, sometimes personal, sometimes thought-provoking, but always authentic. So whether you're here for some new perspectives, inspiration, or just a fresh take on the world with a bit of randomness thrown into the mix, you're definitely in the right place. So what are you waiting for? Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 111 Approach podcast with me, Lakshmi, your 1 Minute Healer. And today I am talking about signs. Yes, signs, not like the road signs that you see on the streets. I'm talking about spiritual signs, signs when you've asked for, Lord, please give me a sign. And then, poof, as if by magic, the sign. Why are you eating crisps on a podcast?
Sorry, I didn't realise it's just a cheesy ball. Put them on now quickly. So it's one word. I'm ready whenever you are.
Wait, obviously not, because you're chomping on some cheesy balls.
Sorry, just a sign, as you were.
So what was I saying?
I just acted on it.
Okay, wait, so backtrack. Signs. Okay, so I'm joined today by a sign. No, not a road sign or a billboard sign. Maybe it's my sign to find some new friends. I'm joined by Dipesh. Oh God, I actually can't say your name properly now because I say Dipesh so many times. His name is Dipesh Mystery. And he's not only one of... No, are you my best friend? I'm my best friend.
He's up there, isn't it?
One of my best friends. He's one of my best friends. My sign. I will fill you in why this is the Dipesh. Welcome to the podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your origin story?
Hello, my name's Dipesh. Dipesh Mystery. Dipesh Kumar Ashok by Magalal Kusal by Mystery. For those of you who really want to get to know me, Google me. I am Lakshmi's sign. We met a couple of years ago, and she met me in my...
He's my sign to get new friends.
She met me at a business networking event, and I had no businesses. It was brilliant. I got up and I pitched about the businesses I wanted to do, and we hit it off from that day, but I'll leave that story to Lakshmi. We obviously met 2 years ago, and since then I've trained as a sound healer and a...
amazing masseuse.
Ayurvedic masseuse. These are passions of mine, and I also run an IT business to be able to eat and live every month just for the money. And yeah, I will leave it at that. Me and Lakshmi have become friends over the last couple of years through a very difficult period in my life, in all seriousness. And yeah, we've developed into wonderfully average friends.
Bitch, I'm a fucking amazing friend, okay? You are average. I'm incredible. Prove me wrong.
I can't say anything on that.
No, okay. So, wow, we will thank you for sharing first and foremost. Yes, you've been through a very difficult time. We will elaborate on that in a little while. But I wanted to backtrack because I really wanted to explain about the amazing way I met Dipesh. So it was 2 years ago, and I was part of a business networking meeting. Shout out to BNI. I had broken up with my longest relationship. It lasted longer than my marriage, with a guy, and it'd been on and off, and it was like 7 years, I think. And that week, he had finally moved out all of his stuff from my flat, and I was working with my spiritual mentor at the time. And I remember the week that he'd moved out all of his stuff, my flat felt really empty. And I think the reality of him not being in my life had really hit. And even though we'd been broken up for a couple of months prior to that, and I had been searching for someone who was a little bit like me, so quite spiritual, but also quite rooted and grounded in the human experience. And what I was finding was when I was meeting people in these spiritual circles, I found myself surrounded by people who were, I suppose, just a little bit too far on the scale of the spiritual spectrum. Um, Whereas, like, I like to still be in my human self. I like to have fun, I have a bit of banter, I love a joke, I love a bit of an inappropriatedness. Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now. Um, and what I was finding was with people in the spiritual realm, especially guys, they were a little bit too
Disconnected from reality.
disconnected from their human self, and it wasn't my vibe. And I remember saying to Katie Helliwell, amazing psychic mentor, I was like, Katie, I keep meeting these people in these spiritual circles, but they just don't vibe with me because they don't have a sense of humor like I do, and I'm just not finding someone who kind of is that blend of like spiritual and fun, I guess. So I remember that day, it was a Thursday lunchtime, I had a meeting with Katie, and I remember saying to Katie, he's moved out all his stuff and I'm just feeling really upset. I'm like, did I make the right decision? You know, I've been looking for someone who's a bit spiritual, but also very grounded in the human sense, but I'm just not finding that. And so she was like, right, let's do a little meditation. Let's call in your guides. Let's just ask for a sign. And see, was that the right move for you? She always told me it was, but she was like, look, you need to know it for yourself. So we literally did like a 5-minute meditation in the car, called in my guides, and I said to my guides, I said, listen, just show me a sign. Did I make the right move? Is there someone like me who is spiritual, but also has the banter, who's also very grounded in the human, who likes to have a bit of fun, has a joke, understands that we're spiritual beings having a human experience and we've got to experience both. You know, that's what I kind of want. And so she was like, right, cool. It will show up if it's meant to show up, and it will be your sign. I walked back into that meeting. Pretty much about 80% of the people had left by then because it was the end of the meeting. I was like, shit, I've missed half the meeting. Let me go grab some food. And lo and behold, that this Dipesh guy was still there. I walk on over, and I think we were sat there for about an hour and a half until they actually had to kick us out, didn't they? And I think there was one point when you were talking about what you were going through at the time. My hands started shaking. I was like, holy fuck. This is my sign, because there's this guy who's talking about he had a IT job. He wanted to do some more spiritual work. He's been on a spiritual journey for a couple of years. He had just come out of a 7-year marriage. So I'd also obviously been divorced before, but it was almost like looking into a mirror. Yeah. But like about 4 months, 5 months apart.
Yeah.
Because what you were going through, I was going through about 6 months beforehand. And I was just like, everything this guy is saying, I was like, oh, shit, same. And my hand just started shaking. And I remember like telling you, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, my hand's shaking. I can't tell you why. right now. Because I was like, if I fucking tell him why, that I've had just a little meditation with my spiritual mentor in the car and I asked for a sign and you're my fucking sign, I think he would have just, I mean, I don't know, what would you have done?
No, you know me. I wouldn't.
I know you now, but back then, what would you have done? If your girl that you've just met had just said, "Oh, by the way, I think you're my sign," what would you have said or done?
Proposed. I've just come out of a 3-year marriage, 7-year relationship. I've got no friends. I've got no job. I would have literally jumped on as quick as I could, and probably used the same ring I gave my wife. To be honest, I honestly think I would have just listened. I would have listened, and been pretty open.
Even for me, I thought, I can't tell him. I can't tell him right now. If this was going to go somewhere, I will tell him when the time is right that, mate, he was my sign. Anyway, genuinely at the time, I think we thought that it was going to be something more. Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. I think we both thought, oh, we met someone semi-attractive with good hair. We both have good hair. And maybe this is going to go somewhere. So long story short, we won't go right into the details. We tried to kind of ish. Were we dating? Even though I thought it was
not really.
Not really. We were exploring the relationship. Let's just say that. Then we realised, actually, nah, we're good. We're good as friends. And what has now turned into, I'm just going to say it, the best fucking friendship I've ever had.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm going to hug you on camera, off camera.
Honestly, I swear down, like, best friendship I've ever had. And the reason why is because I think we're both very honest. We're both so open and we're both so in tune with how we feel. And I think we're in that space of like, we can say things to each other with so much love and care and understanding, because I feel like whatever you say, even if I'm pissing you off or if I've offended you, like, I would want you to tell me. And I think you know that. And I know you're not coming from a place of you're being a dick. You're just telling me how you feel. And I appreciate and I see that. I think because we've both done so much work on ourselves, we're able to be our true, authentic self with each other. And we know it doesn't come from a place of a personal attack. Am I right?
I think it's the understanding that we don't know it all, and we are never really going to know it all, but understanding that our reactions to external people and events and places are our own, whether we're happy, angry or sad, and taking responsibility for those feelings. So to have that in any relationship, whether that be with your family or friends or even partner, it's really important that you acknowledge that you are not always right, and when you are exploring any relationship, which you, again, do with your partner all the way to your family and friends, that they are just as equally as your teachers as much as you are theirs. And when you acknowledge that and you take your responsibility when you go through difficult patches, it's that understanding that I think really helps with our friendship, I think, and the understanding that we know that we can also be, that we are also dicks.
No, I get you. I get you. And I think I wanted to talk to you on the podcast because I wanted to highlight to people that relationships, friendships, and just interactions with new people can blossom in the most unexpected ways. Like, genuinely, I remember that day when I met you, I thought I was gonna marry you. I'll be honest. I thought, fucking hell, I found my sign. I found someone who's like me, who's spiritual, who has banter, and it's gonna be amazing. And like, fucking hell, this is great. But actually, as the relationship has uncovered, obviously that wasn't our path, and it's become an absolutely amazing friendship that I genuinely cherish and value. And yes, I've only known you for 2 years, Dipesh, but I can freaking hand on heart say, like, the love that I have for you and the care that I have for you is like, I feel like my soul knows you from like before. I'm getting a bit emotional now. But this is just like showing that sometimes the length of time that you know someone doesn't have to equate for the level of love that you have for them. Because I've only known Dipesh for 2 human years, but I feel like I know him from like eons before. And that's such a beautiful feeling. And I get it now where people say that you meet people and you feel like you've known them a lifetime or lifetimes before. And it's so beautiful that now I'm actually experiencing that firsthand. And you are like, I think you were one of the few people that I experienced that with, you know? So you obviously mentioned just prior in your introduction to us that you were going through a bit of a difficult time. Would you care to elaborate on that if you're comfortable to do so?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, separated from my wife, a relationship of around 7 years or so. And on the same day, I also lost a job that I've been working at and working for and towards for around about 6 years at the time. So literally in the space of an hour, my life got turned upside down. And I'd
All
like to
right.
take a minute, if you'd all just sit right there. So yeah, I became the Pesh of a town called Croxley Green. Um, so my life got flipped literally 180 degrees, and when I met Lockme, I was still full on in shock. So I mean, I know this podcast is about signs. I wasn't necessarily looking for one, but I was, let's say, open to receive, and we probably helped each other through the most difficult times. Now I can probably, without kind of boring you with the whole story, it took me about 6 months or so before it truly hit me. And I went through uh, some sort of dark night of the soul, or what is commonly just known as a breakdown, which took me 6 months to recover from. I've never been in that mental place before, physically, mentally. It's probably the hardest time of my life. But on reflection, we are kind of a year past it now. This had to happen to become the person that I am today. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I retrained as a sound healer and an Ayurvedic masseuse. But during that period, the reason my Lakshmi's relationship has become so strong is because we've helped each other probably through some of the most difficult parts of each other's lives. And I suppose if neither of us were open to receive this sign and accept that it didn't just have to be romantic, then this potentially couldn't have even got to this stage. So yeah, out the other side, and yeah, very grateful to have kept my sign in my life, and now I'm doing a podcast. Brilliant.
Is this your first podcast?
Yeah, it's my
Oh,
first podcast.
that's
Yeah,
nice.
it's very nice. Yeah.
Popped your podcast for Cherry. So no, that was pretty profound, and like, thank you so much for sharing and being open with that. Because I think, yeah, we were both going through something very, very difficult. Like, even though I'd been divorced, my breakup with my ex of 7 years was actually a lot harder, for me personally, because on paper and like our families were so integrated and we got on so well, it seemed it should have worked. And whereas with my divorce, there was just so much wrong. Even before I got married, I should have just not got married. And it's funny because I was talking about this the other day with someone, and I was like, when I relay back of my relationship with my ex-husband, there were so many times where I should have just left and I didn't. And I think I learned not to just listen to myself. And this is what I'm now learning to do, is being more in touch with my gut instincts and trusting myself more and listening to my body and my energy. Sometimes your mind and your heart will trick you, but your gut will never lie. And I feel like that's where gut health is so important, because your gut is your second mind. In fact, I think your gut is your first mind. I'm putting it out there. I think your gut is your first mind, because your mind will play tricks on you. Your heart will play tricks on you. Your gut never lies. Do you agree?
No,
Okay, why don't you agree?
I do to a certain extent, and I don't know if there's any order to it. Um, but from the very little I know, um, I would say your heart is the first point of contact with the.
But your heart lies. Your heart makes you feel like, oh, I love this person, so that it's okay. But God never lies, because if your heart is like, oh, I love this person and I should make it work. But if your gut's saying, no, no, wait, there's something wrong here, but your heart's like, no, but look, you make excuses for that person.
Yeah, I think to differentiate between your gut, your heart, and your mind is quite difficult. But how I understand it, or how I feel into it, is when you ask a question, the answers don't come in the form of words necessarily. But if you tune into your heart and your gut, and it comes in the form of a feeling, and the answer to your question is a deeper knowing rather than a verbal response to what your mind says. That's my feeling. So I don't disagree with you, but I feel that your heart is the first point of contact.
Wow, some words of wisdom there from Dipesh Mystery. So I guess the reason I wanted Dipesh on this episode, and I wanted to talk about relationships and how relationships can kind of blossom. And I feel like I wanted to share this with people because we tend to put a lot of labels and expectations on our relationships and our interactions with people. And sometimes we just need to let go of the expectation, because when you let go of the fact that you don't have to put a label on it, or you can just see where it goes. And I think we were talking about this when we were having lunch just before. What did you say? It's meant to be, but it doesn't have to meant to be forever or something? What was that?
It's meant.
Are you playing chess
Yeah,
while we're on a
you
podcast?
went for a wee.
Yeah.
My queen is about to capture the king. Are you excited for me?
No. Your queen is about to capture your king. Let's have a look.
So if I go here,
Are you white?
move anywhere.
That's a bit
I go
racist.
there, take them there, and now I just start cleaning up. Like bam, clean up there, bam.
What?
Clean
You're
up
such
here,
a geek.
bam, clean up here.
I'm leaving that bit in. I'm leaving that bit in. You were so confident. You were so confident you were going to beat this guy. Draw. Right. What were we talking about? We're talking about that it's put on
Yes, no, you
this
were
whole
asking about that.
yeah.
No.
We put on this expectation that things have to last forever, and when you give up that idea of things last forever, like nothing lasts forever.
When people say it's meant to be, it doesn't have to be forever. It's meant to be, it's meant to be for now, for the next 5 days, 5 hours, 5 months, or 5 years. It doesn't necessarily have to be for a lifetime, but the lessons that you learn through that period of time, that is what's meant to be.
Yeah, like I was supposed to go on holiday with my girlfriend, who I've been friends with for like 25 years, and we were all celebrating our 40th birthdays together, and we were supposed to go away this June, and lots of things have happened, and it's just not like transpired the way it was supposed to and unfolded the way it's supposed to, and I'm just not feeling great about it. And I'm like, fuck, like these are my longest friendships I've had, but I'm not feeling good about going on holiday with them. And in fact, I've had to make the hard decision that I'm actually not going to go on holiday, even though I've paid for the flight. Instead, me and Dipesh are actually going away for a couple of days, and we're going to go and visit our friends in Spain. And in all honesty, like I'm not even scared to say it on here. I'm more excited about that than I am for the potential of going away to Croatia with my girlfriends, because it's all about the energies that you surround yourself with, and that's what matters rather than the longevity or the traditional types of friendships that we've had. And I feel like people listening to this, I want you to understand, don't let quantity of friendship years or relationship years override the quality of your friendship or relationship years. Quality over quantity, always. And I feel like if we all just learn to just step back and surrender and be in the state of nothing lasts forever, and that's okay. It's okay. You can have the most freaking amazing relationships, friendships, interactions with people, And you can just cherish those for what they were. And if it then takes a turn and you start migrating in different directions and you start moving into different paths and you don't really quite understand each other or get each other, that's absolutely okay. You can love from afar. You can care from afar. You don't have to put yourself into those paths if it's not necessarily the right ones for you.
Yeah, I fully agree. And if I go back to what you talked about, the gut and the heart, whatever you believe is is your true guiding organ, so to speak.
Says the man. What's your
uh,
guiding organ?
my guiding organ is
Honestly.
more follicular shape. It's I don't know. The last time I haven't seen past my gut for a long time. It's been a tough couple of years. Um, but whatever you believe your guiding organ is, whether it be your heart or your gut, I think it's so important, and I think the mindfulness movement over the last few years have helped us understand that the present moment is the only moment where the answers truly are. So to really tune in whenever you are looking for answers, whether it be with a relationship, for a job description, or just should I go out tonight, but to sit in the present and feel into what you truly want to. And again, I believe that the answers come based on a feeling and not from the chatter in your mind.
Deep.
Not with my straw.
Definitely not.
Big bucket.
Excuse me?
Bucket of water. I just chucked one over you earlier.
Yes, we were making a reel, which probably will come out before this podcast, so that doesn't make any sense. Speaking of, I wanted to just touch on this topic, which Dipesh found hilarious. And I'm just putting it out there, people, because I think actually, I know I'm very strange and I have a very unique way of looking at life. People might come at me for this, but you know what? I don't fucking care. This is a fucking free podcast. You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. Why? I'm just asking the question, right? Why are people so offended by dick pics? Because for me, and maybe it's because I've worked in the medical field and I've seen a dick or two, not just in the medical field, but because also I'm not going to say I'm a hoe because that's not
Because
gonna...
they plough fields.
So do I. I don't actually. It's been a very dry season. No, but what I'm saying is, like for me, it's okay. There was a point last year that someone sent me a, a picture of their penis on WhatsApp. And at the time, I thought it was the guy that I was dating because it looked very similar. And I was just like, oh, why was he sending me a dick pic from a different number? And it turned out it wasn't his. But I wasn't offended by it. And I didn't like, I was just like, I find it quite hilarious. And actually, I remember listening to a podcast of two girls. I can't remember which one it was, what it was called, but they've actually started making money from this. They actually rate people's penises. So they get sent dick pics and they rate them out of 10. I'm not offended by dick pics and I don't understand. Like, it's just a picture of a penis. It's not like someone's coming up to you and trying to shove it in your mouth. Like, that's a different story. So, I'd love to know your thoughts because for me, I think maybe I'm just really disconnected from that whole sexual part of it because I've worked in the medical field. I used to sell hernia meshes. So I would be in the operating theatres where obviously the patient was covered but we were working on their inguinal hernia, which is just in the groin area. Funny story, there was where I was in a surgery and we were doing an inguinal hernia operation for someone, and then they were using this new mesh and I was explaining to the surgeon how to position it and how to use it and da da da. And then as he was sewing up the flesh, no, he didn't have a bone. You can say that. You don't have to whisper, by the way. As he was sewing up the flesh, I noticed, I was like, the testicles are on the top of a penis. And I was just thinking, do I say something? What should I say? Like, he's not rearranged the man's balls. And I was quite new at the time. I was like, he must know what he's doing. I don't know. I should have said something because my man woke up with his balls on top of his penis. And then the surgeon said to me, he was like, once he'd finished sewing up and cleaned up this area, and he stepped back and then looked at his handiwork, and he said, he actually said, I kid you not, he said, oh, balls. I forgot to tug on his balls. And because he meant to tug on the balls a little bit to drop them. And he goes, oh, it's okay. They'll drop after a couple of days. And I thought, fucking hell, if I was that guy, and he's all tatted up as well, this patient, and he had an Albert ring. That's when I found out what an Albert ring was and why it's called an Albert ring, you know. An Albert ring is a penis piercing. And the reason it's called an Albert ring is because Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, had one. Yeah. Queen Victoria was getting a frick on. But yeah, I found this out from a 60-year-old surgeon at the BMI Blackheath. I'm not going to say his name. He told me that. And I was just like, I guess we've had to remove the Prince Albert from this patient. Like, what's a Prince Albert? He goes, it's a cock ring. And I was just like, not cock ring, sorry. A cock piercing, penis piercing. I was just like, oh, you learn something new every day. Yeah, what was I? So anyway, so this guy wakes up with his balls on top of his penis, and so he had to wait a couple of days for it to drop. So yeah, so I think maybe because I've seen and been exposed to these situations that I'm not as sexually offended by the human anatomy.
Maybe you can all show your appreciation of this podcast by sending pictures of your sexual organs to Lakmi's address.
No, you don't have to do that at all. I won't be offended if you do, but you definitely don't have to do that. And I don't think you should be encouraging that, because maybe some young people might be watching this and then you will be deemed a paedophile.
That's very true. We haven't really even thought about that. Maybe we should just cut this whole podcast.
I think
just start from the beginning again.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should.
I don't know. Will I get cancelled?
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not big enough to get cancelled.
Fuck it, see what happens. Tune into your gut. What's your gut telling you? I'll tune into my heart. We'll see who's right.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't know where we're going with this. I'm going to try and wrap this. Okay. Right, final thoughts then. Right, listen. This has been a bit of a ridiculous episode, and I'm not apologising for it, because I did warn you all in the show notes, in the intro, that this is a weird and wonderful podcast and it's going to be fucking random. And I feel like this is possibly could be the most randomest episode. But you've chosen to listen to it, and if you're listening to it now, it's your own fucking problem. Not my problem. I didn't make you listen to it this far long. But well done. Thank you for being here. Dipesh.
Yeah.
Every time I have a guest on, I ask them, could you please share with the world that is listening? And when I say world, probably 3 listeners, 2 of them being my family members. Could you share with the people listening a piece of advice or a quote that has really resonated with you or changed your outlook / view on life?
I will keep it relevant to the episode and to do with signs.
I thought you were going to do about dick. It's not the length, it's the girth.
And I would say, whether you ask the question or not, signs are everywhere, every day, every single second of every day. And if we all collectively stay present and aware, we'll be better guided through our life. So how do I word that better? I think that's probably good enough.
Yeah, I think so too. So on that note, we're going to do a 1-minute meditation, as I always do on every episode. And I think today we'll do a 1-minute meditation to bring in a sign. So whatever you need a sign for in your life today, in this very moment, as you're listening to this episode, I want you to hold that intention. Think of something that you want some guidance for. Maybe a question, maybe you're at a crossroads in your life. And then let's just see if we can bring you a sign through this meditation. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes, if it's safe to do so. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, hold for a few seconds, and then breathe out through your mouth. And I want you to put out your intention, put out your question to the universe, to your guides, to your angels, to God, whatever label you choose to use and what feels right for you. I want you to ask for a sign. Say, universe, angels, God, higher self, divine source, please send me a sign so that I may get some guidance or clarity for whatever it is that you need. Guidance, clarity, and a sign for. Make it specific for yourself. Give it a time frame if you want to. But remember, time doesn't really exist, so just putting it out there into the universe, into the ether. The most important thing about asking for a sign is gratitude. So just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing me this sign, if it is for the highest good for all involved. And with that, taking a deep breath in, hold, and breathing out and opening your eyes. Now, I would love to know what you've asked for as signs. So do leave them in the comments below and let me know if your signs came true, because that would be pretty cool also. And with that, I always end on gratitude. So thank you so much for listening. I know this has been a bit of a random, strange episode, but this is what we're here for. Life is all about laughter, not taking things too seriously. And if you were offended by this episode, well, fuck you. Don't listen to the next one. Also, remember to download, tag, share on socials. If you enjoy this podcast, do roll it out, share it with people. That's the way it's going to get seen and heard. But even if you don't, I don't really care, because I'm high key proud of my podcast and I love it. And even if nobody listens to it, I don't care because I love it. Anyway, I will see you on the next episode. Sending you love, light, and blessings.